changes, Patrick?
Yes. Here we go. We will be adding under consent the summit inspection services receiving a retirement notice effective December 31st, 2019. We will also be adding agenda item 8H. I put together a brief release that I'd like the board to at least review and perhaps hopefully give me approval to post this in response to lead concerns around the city White Bear Lake as well as water gremlin. I will distribute those when we get to that on the agenda. Also, under the old business 6A, township personnel items, the spreadsheet that you have is missing the final column of 30-year longevity step. We stopped at 25 and we have an employee that's going to be at 30. So I added that. I'll distribute that when we get to that point on the agenda.
All right, so we're adding item 5J and 8H.
Correct.
And then also we have a guest, Sue Vento from Met Council. I'd like to probably move her right up after the consent agenda, so she doesn't have to sit and listen to,
Us.
yeah.
She might find it fascinating.
She might, right? She might.
All right, with those changes, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Move to approve as amended.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. Steve, you have a chance to sign off on the,
I did move to approve payment of the bills.
a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 4 is the approval of minutes from October 21st. Any additions, deletions, changes?
I saw none. Megan did a great job. Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Let's see, we have 10 consent agenda items, if the board's comfortable, or if they want to pull any to review, otherwise look for a motion to approve.
I will move to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we have a guest, Sue Vento from Met Council.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief because I know you've got a lot on your agenda. And my reason for being here tonight is to just introduce myself. I was appointed to the council to represent District 11 last March, and it's been a great experience. One of the things that I like to do before I go out to visit a township or a city in District 11 is to read about the city and the township both on their own website, but also kind of snoop around the internet. And I have to tell you that your website has the most fascinating information about the history of White Bear Township, and I can't thank you enough. I feel like I almost have a master's degree in history just having read that. And what I loved was the line to the question, why 4 non-contiguous areas of the township, and the response being, well, the answer is simple. There's no simple answer. And in reading about the history of the township and how it came to be the way it is today, it really isn't simple, but it is fascinating. I also was really pretty tickled to read about the fact that women voted here in 1894 and 1902, well in advance of the passage of the women's right to vote in 1920, or the authorization, the final action on it in 1920. So you folks have been ahead of the curve here a lot for a long time. I come with a diverse background. Unlike a lot of my colleagues on the city council, I have not served, or excuse me, on the Met Council, I have not served on a township board or a city council. I've not been a mayor or a chair of a local jurisdiction. But I have been active in the communities that I've lived in from the time that I was growing up in southeastern Minnesota to teaching in Wilmer, Minnesota many moons ago, and then living here in the Twin Cities since 1984. I have a background as an educator and taught 1st and 3rd grade out in Wilmer, and then worked for the MEA and what is now Education Minnesota until my retirement from there. And in the year 2010. I flunked retirement and got recruited by the priest at my parish in downtown St. Paul to be the director of outreach at the church, which may seem like an odd kind of connection, but I felt like I got to use a lot of my skills really well. And one of the opportunities I had working at the church was to work with the city and the county and a lot of nonprofits, and those are among the relationships that I've been working on since I joined the Met Council. As a member of the Met Council, I serve on the Community Development Committee. We have been busy the last many months working on the 2040 comp plans. I also serve on the Environment Committee, and I'll tell you that when I joined that committee, in all honesty, I thought we were going to be talking more about rivers and streams and parks and the outdoors, and it turns out that wastewater management is a big part of every agenda. And as distasteful as that might sound, it really is a fascinating system that we have here in the Twin Cities, and it's highly lauded throughout the nation and also internationally. I also serve on the Audit Committee, which I thought was an odd match for me since math isn't necessarily my strong suit, but I have found it really interesting because we audit a lot more than numbers. We audit systems and procedures, and it's been fascinating learning through that experience. I look forward to helping build your relationship with the Met Council in any way that I can. I hope to spend more time with you at a time when we can sit down without an agenda and just visit about the pressing needs that you have. I know that these last several months have been pretty raucous here in the township with the lead and the TCE issue. I was at the recent a town hall meeting with the legislative delegation from this area and had an opportunity to hear what they're looking to doing in the 2020 session. So please let me know whenever I can be of any assistance, or please let me know when I need information that I don't have and I need to get it in order to make good decisions, because like I said, I'm a beginner, but I'm a very enthused learner and will do everything I can to be a good voice for you within the council. Any questions I can answer?
Steve?
Well, you made the comment about attending more of one of our other meetings. We have working meetings monthly, and it probably, at least from my perspective, it would be good if you could join us.
Absolutely.
From the standpoint that we have, we're held to the same standards as every city as it relates to the Met Council, but yet we have some other issues that are behind us because we're a township.
Right.
And I think it's important that you as our representative understand that as best we can explain it, and coming to one of our meetings might be a good place to have a dialogue.
I would love that. And I'll get in touch with Pat and see when that would work best on your agendas.
How about November, so the third Friday in November?
Which is November?
28th or 21st, I can't remember.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, I can make that work.
Okay. We meet about 11 to 3.
Okay.
So I'll get you in sometime between 11 and noon.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
I have 2 townships in this district, this township and Linwood Township, and you're very different townships. So that is a great idea. It'll be good for me to learn about the challenges you folks are facing.
Well, only because we're now considered an urban township, and so we fall into an area of, we're not a small township, but yet we're as big as a city, but we're not a city.
Right.
So, as Steve said, we're struggling with some of the financing that we're forced to mandate to our residents, but we're not getting any funding. So, any help we can get would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, you guys hit the topics.
The governor had indicated that, he's got an interest in rural governments, and that's township government, which we are a part of, but yet we're also part of the metropolitan area. And so as we said, we are unique, but I think you need to have a good, clear understanding of how that all fits together, and coming to one of our meetings might be the best.
Totally. That'll be great. I'll be there on the 21st at 11 o'clock.
Sounds good. We got you.
Excellent.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
I don't remember which one's one of the others, whatever the Friday is.
Yeah.
All right, jumping back, item 6A, our township personnel items.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We'll submit the updated spreadsheet reflecting our hopefully maybe adopted wage scale that will tie back to our job descriptions and our personnel policy that we've been working on for the last 6 months. Again, as was requested by the board when we entered into this endeavor, this is not any kind of a financial impact on your budgets this year or going forward. It is simply reflecting a consolidated wage scale for simplification within our personnel policy, and also tying out to our updated job descriptions. With that, I would field any questions you might have. We did go over any comments and input on the actual personnel policy at our executive board. I would ask for any more that you might have.
So the only, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The only difference with this sheet from what we saw is the addition of the far right-hand column.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And hopefully we have a few more employees at some point with 30 years, but for right now.
Right now, we got the lone soldier sitting over there.
Cobwebs.
And I think you already hit the gist of it, but it's just simply to more standardize what's kind of sort of been in place roughly. This is formalizing more of a structure.
That's correct. And also, it makes it for simpletons like me to understand.
Simple is good.
Yes, we had, before we worked this down to fit appropriately into a flow reflecting where we are with wages, with our personnel, we had 75 steps. We're down to 23. So over the years, we just kind of added here and there to make things work and bump people up along the way or reduce along the way, and it just got unwieldy. So this one reflects what is legal and required for pay equity. It also, the personnel policy that we'll be adopting will get it has not been updated in 15 years. It is old, but the one that we hopefully will adopt here this evening will put us legally in compliance with personnel policies.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment about the adoption of the proposed policy.
Sure.
And you hit the nail on the head that it needs to be updated, it needs to be current, it needs to be a good guide for all of our employees and the board to have a clear understanding of the expectations of everybody. I applaud you for going out and getting some assistance in the world.
Yeah.
That people that actually do this for a living and help create this. I think it's the right step for the right time going forward, and hope that we keep it updated. And for the audience, what is the plan to keep that updated? How often are we going to be really relooking at that?
Well, what I should have prefaced the discussion with is that my experience with any kind of a personnel policy over the last 25 years is that the initial draft that is given to you to adopt is given to you as a living document. It is updatable with resolution from the Township Board at any point during the year. I would suggest that we at least review it in totality every 3 years to coincide with our job description update schedule. Everybody will be asked a couple things that will be showing a little bit more compliance. All of our staff will be asked to sign off on their personnel policy, accepting that as their directive as an employee for the township or for the township. We also will have a conflict of interest statement that everybody who works for and is elected to the township sign off on annually as well.
Okay.
I read through the whole handbook.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I was,
And how many sleeping
well,
sessions?
I know you. But I was kind of curious because I went through it and I didn't see anything on, I know you cover cell phone policies quite well through it, but I didn't see anything on radio policies. They're handheld radios. Did I miss it, or is that covered under a cell phone?
It's covered under communication equipment.
Okay.
Yep. I don't think it specifies radio, but it encompasses that. I can specify that if you'd like.
Okay, well, I just want to be, be sure, because that's no different than a cell phone. They can't be driving down the road talking in that either, so.
It's true.
All right, that was the only thing I saw.
Okay.
It was very complete. Actually, I didn't realize at the beginning of the handbook, as that Stu mentioned, there was a complete history of the township right in the handbook.
Correct.
So it's kind of nice that if somebody does come to the township as an employee, they have to at least read that to understand what kind of community they're working in.
And it's a unique one.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, any other questions of Patrick? You want this in two separate motions?
Yes, sir.
So the first would be to adopt the proposal.
I'll make a motion to adopt the proposed White Bear Township Employee Handbook and personnel policies per direction at the executive meeting.
And could you add a caveat or an amendment to that, that its adoption is based upon the premise that it is a living document that will be under edit for quite some time?
I'll amend my motion with that addition.
Thank you.
All right,
I'll
motion
second that.
made. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, and then the second one is the enhanced position.
I'll move to adopt the proposed enhanced position pointing system and wage scale, the updated copy that was provided tonight to the board.
I will second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Thanks, guys.
I know it's been a little bit of a time consumer for staff, so.
It has.
I think we're
But-
far, this is going to be helpful in the future for us.
We're done. We're excited.
Item 6B, the North Oaks LLC development discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I should have mentioned this when we were amending the agenda earlier. The more I think about it, I think I'd like the two folks that we've been working with North Oaks LLC over the past 5, 6, 7 years, Mark and Gary, to come do a presentation about what it is that they are considering going forward within the township at our executive board. I think it gives us a better chance to do a Q&A with them.
But are you talking about a specific piece of property?
They will be talking about several pieces of property as well
Because we
as
just had a presentation about the,
what they are going to talk to us about is what the demands on our infrastructure will be. And that is a big part of the conversation. They also want to talk a little bit more further about the I-35 interchange as it moves along. So I think it's better if we move them to
is
November
that something, we have a meeting coming up on that,
13th.
okay, so they would be meeting with them afterwards.
Yeah.
And then could they also, I don't know, Larry, if they want to meet with you beforehand, so they can maybe get some of the engineering items out of the way, so we're not trying to rehash that?
Sure.
Okay. I work with the
I
board?
think that's probably a better way to do it.
Is that okay with the board members?
Certainly is. So what's the?
So would you like a motion to table
Let's
for a
table it.
future
For our
exec meeting?
executive board, November executive board.
I'll move to table item 6B, Old Business North Oaks LLC, to the executive meeting in November? And is that what you want?
Yes,
In
please.
November?
I will second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Thank you.
And moving on, item 7 is a public hearing. This is for a vacation and drainage utility easement. I will look for a motion to waive the reading, noting it's been properly published in the White Bear Press.
I'll move to waive the reading, note that it was properly published in the White Bear Press.
I will second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion carries. And I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move to open the public hearing.
I second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Tom?
It's a request from Scannell Corporation. The town board recently reviewed and approved a permitted use standards permit to allow them to construct a 110,000 square foot office warehouse manufacturing building. This is at the end of Constellation Drive. Cul-de-sac right here. This is Centerville Road right here. And the railroad tracks borders the south side of the property. This is the location of the building, site improvements, landscaping, that was all approved at the town board's meeting, I believe that was October 7th. Those did not require public hearings. However, part of the proposal, they're wanting to construct in the shaded area right here, which would have been over an existing water main that was put in many, many years ago. What they would like to do, and the green line represents the existing location of the water main. You see just this corner would be under a paved area. We don't want structures on top of water mains when we can avoid it. So they're requesting town approval to vacate a section of this right here and relocate it at their expense, basically as shown in blue there. This would be a survey showing the change. So again, existing water main being shut down and relocated into this location right here. So it's a couple-step process here. First, we got to, they're requesting approval of vacation of that drainage and utility easement with the water main in it, but we really can't do that tonight because we're still using it. So what has to happen is the actual construction work has to be done, and then the town could go forward approving the vacation of that easement and then establishment of the new easement for the water main. So what's requested tonight, I guess, is the board review this in concept. If you're willing to make that change in the future, you know, giving concept approval, and then coming back at a later date and actually approving the vacation of that easement and establishment of the new easement.
All right, Tom, are they required to find the contractor, or is the township to move that?
They will be doing the work, but the town will be inspecting the work, obviously.
All right. And how long a project is it? Well, hang on, we'll get to you in a second, so if you don't know that. But then also, what was I gonna say? Oh, timing-wise, are we required to have an immediate retroactive okay of the vacation the minute it's done? Maybe Chad, you can answer this. I mean, this is kind of the chicken and the egg thing here.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I recommend you simply stay any action on this till the new line is completed and a new easement proposed and executed.
But
And
I
then
mean,
at that time,
Do we have
vacate it.
Do we have a timeline, or do we have to make it overlap that construction time, or?
There is no timeline at all.
Okay.
The only timeline here is when they get the sewer done and the new easement drafted.
All right, and
So-
is that a project for this fall yet?
Well, representatives are
All right,
here,
well,
they can probably give
okay,
us an
we'll get
update
to
on
it.
what the
All
plans are.
right, Steve, you have any questions
Well,
of Tom?
My question, it really has to do with concept approval. So basically, what you're asking for is if the board would entertain this in the future, is that the concept? What are you looking for exactly?
Well, acknowledgement that you've accepted their request to do that. It's part of the plan. It's basically part of the plan that was adopted under the permitted use standards permit. It's just this requires the hearing, and then the timing of the work itself is, you know, very important to be done correctly.
So then you have to have another public hearing then?
Continuation, or?
I would think you just continue this meeting, continue this hearing.
So one of the actions tonight will be to continue this public hearing to a later
You
date?
could take public testimony tonight,
Okay.
close public testimony, then continue any decision on it until it's completed.
Okay.
Do we
The
run
new line
in-
is completed.
Do we run into the 60-day?
No, easement vacations are not covered by the 60-day statute. It's a good point, though.
All right, Scott, you have any other question?
I guess I just want to make sure I'm understanding. We're saying, we're being asked to say, okay, go ahead and start construction, but we're not officially giving up the current pipe until the construction's completed and we've approved it. We've inspected it and approved it. Is
That's
that-
exactly right.
Okay. That was my question.
Any other thing? All right, if there are no more questions of Tom, I'd look for a motion to open up for public comment.
Move to open up for public comment?
I will second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the applicants are here. If you want to come up, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Dan Salzer with Skinnell Properties. Thanks for having me tonight. Yeah, I think Tom presented it well. I guess if one of the questions is more of a practical matter of the chicken or the egg, I guess my question would be, you can have easements overlaying easements, so can the new easement be approved? And maybe I'll take a step back. Timing perspective, I think with Mother Nature working against us, we probably won't do this fall at this point. This week it's supposed to turn. And so the intention would be in the spring, we would construct all of this together. And we would do this improvement with our other site work. The actual timing to install or realign the water main is probably a week-long process at most for that specific area. But going back to the kind of the practical matter, my question is, can we approve, I want to make sure we don't go install it and then run into some kind of issue that we've now outside of the easement and the chicken came before the egg or one or the other. So could we approve the easement, the proposed easement? We now have two easements overlaying each other, and then ultimately come back once it's installed and request vacation of the underlying piece that's now going away, if that makes sense.
Actually, Tom, have you thought, I mean, that would seem to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You'll have an easement that won't have anything under it initially, but that's okay, it's an easement.
Well, if that's the case, we could resolve this yet tonight. And then following with next year, we just come back and remove the one existing easement?
Well, the problem is you don't have a new water main yet. If you vacate an easement tonight, you're
No, no.
right to main.
That's what I'm saying. We would only approve a new easement. Of course, can we do that without specs on where it would be?
Well, you don't have to approve you don't have to approve the new easement. Scanell just simply has to grant it to you.
And it's described as in your packet.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm.
If I may.
I thought I had it in my head.
If I may, as the property owner can grant the township an easement anytime it wishes.
Okay.
There's no condition that the town accept it, well, let's put it this way, I'll withdraw that last one. They could grant the easement tomorrow, they could record it tomorrow, and there'd be a proper easement. The problem is there's nothing in the easement yet. So until there's something in the easement which replaces the old one, you don't want to vacate your old easement.
No, we got that, but.
But you could, as of tomorrow, they could bring in a declaration of easement in and solve the problem.
Well, it seems like a lot cleaner application.
So what you're asking is to grant the proposed utility easement at this point?
Yep.
And they could condition the new easement on vacation of the old easement, that in a certain period of time that the old easement be vacated, that's understandable.
You guys already have a contractor for this or not?
We do not.
Do you have any plans and specs for it yet?
Yes. This is our engineer, Kimley Horn, so.
Well, Tom, you think that will work?
Yep.
So tonight, we would be basically only approving the new easement and not vacating the existing one.
Right, so continuing the hearing. So approving the new location, then continuing the hearing.
Is this something that would be considered a contractor beware, contractor, I don't know what the word I'm looking for? Because they're proceeding with something that's.
Assumption of the risk?
Yeah, assumption
I
of
don't-
risk, there you go.
Not in this case, I don't believe.
Okay.
Chad, you agree?
Well, no, I mean, they're building a new water line, a water main at Scannell's, if I mispronounce the name, I apologize.
Scannell's.
Scannell's direction on Scannell's property. They're acting with the understanding and approval of the property owner. They don't have a problem at all.
All right. That sound like a feasible answer for you guys?
Okay, so we're being asked for two things, basically, tonight. One is to approve the new location for the drainage and utility easement, and the second would be to continue, just basically continue with the public hearing. Okay.
That work for you guys?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, are there any other questions, comments? Anyone want to speak to this? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
So moved?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so basically now, we're going to look for a motion to grant the new dedicated drainage utility easement.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chair, actually, the motion would be to accept the new easement.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll move, based on staff review and recommendation, accept the new location of the drainage and utility easement at 4850 Constellation Drive.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And then second, we would need a motion to extend this public hearing.
To an end.
So you're gonna do the work next spring, right? Take about a week. Why don't you extend it to the third meeting in May? Or second meeting in May.
Second meeting in May.
You don't have 3 meetings, do you? Second meeting in May.
If there's no concern, I'd suggest maybe we do June or even July, just kind of as an outside date in the event.
Sure.
You know, who knows
So,
what spring brings.
second meeting in July, is that, if that's what you,
Yeah,
if that works?
Right.
that works.
All right, I'll move to continue the public hearing till the second meeting in July of 2020.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? There you go. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, moving on. We go to item 8B, John Alperto, 1986 Ridgewood Avenue, request for minor subdivision. Tom, you gonna take that?
I will, yep, this is a subdivision that's been reviewed and recommended for approval by the planning commission. A couple of different property owners involved here. This is the lot in question that abuts the railroad tracks. This is Ridgewood Avenue here, St. Anthony Avenue, which is undeveloped. This is an undeveloped right-of-way. The property owner here purchased this parcel through tax forfeiture through the county. And now they are working with the abutting neighbor to split the lot. This portion going with 5120, this portion going with 1986. It's a simple minor subdivision or lot line rearrangement that's been recommended approval by the Planning Commission. I'll point out here the Forest Lake Interceptor, the main sewer line that comes from Forest Lake and goes down this corridor right here towards St. Paul is within or under portion of this property, and there are easements reflecting that. Other than that, it's a very simple lot line rearrangement.
What was that, 65 by what, 105 or something?
63 by 105.
A little picture of it.
And that's abutting the road, or the railroad right away?
It is, yes. So you can see the dimensions here, 63.71 by the length of 105.77.
Are there existing drainage and utility easements on those, or no? I mean, on the actual property, so.
No, these are older platted, yeah, they are platted properties, so I don't believe there were any easements at that time.
All right, so the only easement that's saved is the interceptor line?
Correct.
And how much is that?
Oh, it's a big one.
That's a big one.
I'm gonna say it's 40 feet or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's 40 feet.
So then the applicant's aware that they can't be putting any structures back there? Okay. Are you guys the owners?
Yes.
Well, any other questions of Tom?
No, Tom, no.
Well, you want to come up and introduce yourself, if you got anything to add to what Tom's just laid out for us?
Hi. Yeah, I'm John Alperto. I live at 1986 Ridgewood. Nice to meet you, supervisors. And yeah, I just want to purchase the land basically that's in my yard. So I was erroneously told by the West Title Company when I bought the land, oh, you own right up to that back line that abuts to the railroad tracks, which I found out years later I do not own up to that. I got a little tap on the shoulder. Ramsey County sent me a letter saying there's some tax forfeiture land behind you. I said, what are you guys talking about? And here it was this Dale Eklund who didn't pay his taxes on it, and so me and Tim Giese were talking about it, and he agreed, yeah, I'll go to this auction. I went to the auction too. We don't want to sit and outbid each other, and he bid for it. And then we agreed, sometime in the future, he said, I have no interest in the part behind, in your yard. I'd just figure out whatever you would owe me for that, and you could purchase purchase it from me, so.
Is that fairly high back there? Is it wetland? Is it,
No, it's not
Is
wetland.
it?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, regular part of the yard, fairly high, yeah.
Could you, just for my purpose, state on the record that you do understand you can't build on that property?
Absolutely, yes.
there a deer run back there?
Every now and then, yeah.
Like trails through there for the children that like to go along the railroad tracks or not?
Well, they ride right on the tracks
Oh,
back
they
there.
ride right on the tracks, so.
Right.
All right, Scott, you have any questions of the app? Steve?
No.
All right, thanks, sir.
Yep.
Well, this seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, may I make one suggestion? One of the conditions of the approval of the minor subdivision should be a requirement to be, the parcels be combined with the existing tax parcels.
Oh, sure.
So you don't have two separate tax parcels.
Right, that makes sense. Well, that would be part of the motion.
Okay.
I don't know, who was at the planning commission for this one?
Me?
You get all the glory.
You actually have the tax parcels.
I attended that one.
Right.
Tax parcels. All right, I'll
the
move
kind
based
of
on the
thing-
planning commission and staff review and recommendation, approve the minor subdivision of the property at 1986 Ridgewood Avenue and noting that they should be combined with the existing tax
Parcel number?
parcel.
Tax parcel. I would note that the tax parcel numbers are noted on the survey.
As noted on the survey.
All right, motion's made. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? There you go, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
Fine.
Public Works Director item. He's not here, so I guess we're gonna not have that, right?
Sells a lot of
You went right by him. Keep
Yeah,
going.
I know.
Keep going.
Well, Public Works isn't here. How are we gonna do the on-site generator?
I can speak for Mr. Reed.
Well, come on, guys. We gotta have questions he can't answer.
I was gonna preface this with, don't ask me any technical questions. Mr. Chair, per my request to have this initially tabled to the executive committee for discussion in lieu of budget constraints this year, I had forgotten that this had already been budgeted for this year in our capital improvement budget. So what you have in front of you is the best bid on a generator specific to the Public Works building per the executive board's request, that be prioritized, and that we look for a generator for the administrative offices at another date. So I would submit to you the best bid on this piece of equipment to consider.
Is this something that they're still gonna do this fall yet, then, or?
Yes. Yep.
How thick's the concrete pad gonna be?
Yeah. Can you answer that question?
I think you were looking at Chad. Mr. Chair, I defer to the experts.
It'll meet building code.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there's
Wow.
Missed my chance. Thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
All right, any questions? 'Cause I know we reviewed this a couple times, so.
I'm good.
All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve? Let's see, we got two of them, receive the
your
quote
quotes first, yes.
and approve the purchase.
I'll move based on staff review and recommendation to receive the quotes.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, second one is approve the purchase and installation.
I'll move based on staff review and recommendation, approve the purchase and installation of the Public Works on-site generator, genset from Kodiak Power Systems in the amount of $47,326 with funding from the Capital Building Fund.
I will second that.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That motion carries.
Thanks, guys.
All right, moving on, item 8D, the 2020-1 street improvements. Is that you, Larry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Board. This project is for our southeast area, Phase 1. It includes Lakewood Avenue from County Road F to South Shore Boulevard, Ralph Street, Arbor Drive, Hilaire Road, Summit Lane, Forest Court, Glen Oaks Avenue, and Homewood Avenue from Arbor Drive to South Shore Boulevard. This neighborhood was originally built in 1962. Ratings for the streets, as you know, we rate all our streets. We have ratings in this neighborhood of as low as 1.43 out of 5, which is one of our lowest ratings we have on our street system.
Not the lowest.
We're looking to do improvements, which is, what we're proposing is kind of a hybrid reconstruction. We are looking to grind the existing pavement and reuse that pavement as base for the new road. But in order to do that, it needs additional coarse material, larger aggregate, because of the breakdown of the existing gravel beneath the roadway and the age of the bituminous. Through the geotechnical report, the material will be too fine for base material, so we would need to add additional rock material to bring it into specifications for Class 5. So in order to do that, we need to move the soil from its current location, excavate beneath the existing base, and then move that material back, add the gravel, the coarser aggregate, to build the roadway. We're also looking to add concrete curb and gutter. We are recommending surmountable curb and gutter in this neighborhood because of the street widths. We're also recommending widening a few streets and narrowing one street, widening Arbor, Homewood, and a portion of Lakewood to 28 feet in width. Those streets are currently 24 and 25 feet in width. So looking to widen those streets. Those streets are some of the main arteries through this neighborhood, and so looking to gain a little width for those roadways. Ralph Street is currently 30 feet in width, and it's a dead-end roadway, and so we're looking to narrow that to 28 feet. We sent out questionnaires for this neighborhood to gain additional information about what issues and things they're seeing with the streets in this area. We received almost 50% response on those questionnaires. The main issues were specific drainage issues, were the biggest response items that we received. There was a few traffic safety concerns, and there was a handful of people that didn't think improvements were necessary. As a part of the feasibility report, we studied the cost for the project, and with the soil movement involved, we're looking at a $3.05 million project. We are, with our estimate, we are anticipating that soil movement everywhere, but there may be instances where the roadways are, or the driveways coming into the roadway are steep enough that we could raise that road profile and lessen some of the costs. But for now, we are, for our estimates at this point, we want to use a larger value, so we're prepared financially for a larger cost. We also are, in determining these costs, using a higher per unit cost for materials. Some of the bids we received this fall on other projects that we've seen at our company, prices came in a bit higher than when we bid our project for 2019. And a lot of that has to do with market conditions, and a lot of work is being pushed off to next year because of the rain, and we are worried that those unit prices may be high next year. So when we reviewed the feasibility report, we kept those prices at a higher rate for now until we know a little bit more about how bids are coming in next year. To fund the improvements for the $3.05 million project, we're looking at assessments of $1.25 million, township funds of $1.26 million, water fund nearly $36,000, sewer fund about $10.5, and the stormwater fund almost $500,000. We're adding, there's a lack of storm sewer in this neighborhood, so we are adding a pipe network and extending the pipe network to help with the drainage concerns that we're seeing in the from their public responses and extending some of that storm sewer, adding some stormwater treatment for this neighborhood. There's little stormwater treatment coming out of this neighborhood, so trying to improve that water quality. We also did some research about possibility of using rain gardens to help with some of that water quality. So in the report, there's some background on a program that Rice Creek Watershed District as well as Ramsey County administer, whereby they're helping fund some volunteer rain gardens as an option if the board is willing to move forward with that piece of it. So tonight we're looking for acceptance of the report. The report was included with your materials. I hope you had a chance to read it. And then calling for a public hearing for December 16th for the public hearing. Ahead of that, we'd have a neighborhood meeting. We're looking at, we haven't fine-tuned the date, but we're looking at December 4th, sometime in that week, to have a neighborhood meeting, share the results of our study with the neighborhood in advance of that public hearing, so they come to that public hearing with information. The other aspect we're looking for is authorization for TKDA to prepare plans and specifications for not to exceed price of $195,000. We had some late discussions late in the week last week with Township staff, and considering the bidding climate we're in, we'd like to get started with those plans and specs earlier so we can try to get a bid earlier in the season, recognizing there's so much work coming for contractors next construction season. So looking for authorization for that so we can start our design now. I think that's all I have for our presentation, and I'm happy to take your questions.
That's it? 3.05 million? That's all you got?
Hopefully a lot less. But
Well, Larry, have you been in contact with the county because of the pending improvements to South Shore Boulevard?
yes, and we have drainage going towards South Shore Boulevard. So I talked to the county about how do we handle that drainage going to South Shore Boulevard. Their answer was to kind of keep, as we come down the hills from the different streets, is to kind of keep the drainage the same. And then they would pick up that drainage with their project.
Did they give you an idea when this is going to happen?
No.
When you say they pick up the drainage with their project, is that they're funding it too?
Well,
That intersects with the county roads?
yes.
Yes or
So
no, huh?
my question to them was, we have drainage going into their system. We see a lack or not a lot of infrastructure for stormwater on South Shore Boulevard, and so we're seeing it going into some shallow ditches and even crossing the road in some places. My question to them is, how do you want us to handle that? We want to do the right thing and build the infrastructure we need for our streets, but we really ideally would tie into their system. Well, they don't have a system yet. And so the plan would be to build it and match in at the same grade that the street matches into, and then when they do their project, they would add the storm sewer infrastructure to accept the water that we're bringing to them. And we would have we may have a cost share, just like any other county project.
Well, is there a chance that with our improvements, we may decrease the water that's going to South Shore right now versus through our system and retention ponds and rain gardens or whatever we do?
Yeah, there could be some rain gardens along some of those stretches that could take some of that water, but that's a voluntary program.
Well, I get that, but
Yeah.
I don't want to see us do this whole project and then end up flooding that road.
Well, it wouldn't be more water going that direction, it'd be the same. We're not, well, other than Homewood has, we're looking to widen by 3 feet.
Okay.
But for an assessed project, that, if there's a cost sharing, that's gonna be township expenses, not individual landowners, correct? As it ties into South Shore? Because,
Oh, in the future for?
well, if they say that might be a cost share at some point. If they're not ready to go forward and we're going forward, we have to come up with a value per parcel that we've done for our projects. And you're gonna figure that all in as the drainage thing here as part of that project, even though we may not do it? I don't know if you can do that, can you?
The county's work?
No, we're coming down one of these roads, meeting South Shore Boulevard, you said it's got drainage issues that have to be addressed, but they're not ready to do the county road, so where does that leave that into the project? As far as,
Well, I think there's a
Cost.
confusion here, what you're talking about, cost sharing.
Yeah.
If we cost share with the county, that's
Our-
cost sharing when they go to do.
When they
South
do
Shore
their
Boulevard.
projects, yes.
right, not part of this.
I understand, but why would we be involved in any costs for South Shore Boulevard?
I don't know that we would or wouldn't. When the county does a project, there may be cost sharing. I've just seen it in other communities where they charge per their cost sharing policy.
Did we
for
have any
improvements.
cost sharing when Stillwater was redone?
I don't believe so.
I don't remember any.
Okay. That may be the answer.
As long as you're comfortable with our grades and our water delivery to South Shore as compared to what their plans are.
Our grades will match into existing grades at
That may be, but are they talking about maybe changing those grades? That's what I'm asking. So unless you're really in contact with them, we need to know exactly what they're gonna do, so we know exactly what we should be doing.
And they don't know what they're gonna.
Then I'm a little nervous about this one then.
Yeah,
I think that would be up to them then, if they have to chase our local streets up to match into their plan at that point. If they perhaps raise the grades of South Shore, then it would be on them as part of their project to raise the grades of our roadways, kind of going up the hill.
All right, any other questions?
You had mentioned having surmountable curbs, and looking at the diagrams here, they look like a much easier angle, so you could drive over them. Would that cause any stormwater to go up over the curbs and onto the property?
Well, so that difference between the gutter
8
pan where the
inches
water,
and-
it's 4 inches
Mhm.
for surmountable curb. And so, it would still flow in that, gutter pan. And we designed for a 10-year storm. So if the water in that drainage area becomes too great, and I'm getting into a lot of detail here, but, then that's where we'd add some catch basins, to collect that water, to relieve that water from jumping over that curb.
Okay, and I guess that kind of led into the next question was, you had mentioned that we should plan to not increase the water flow and the county would be okay. You use different phrasing, but essentially, when we're improving the street and the stormwater runoff, they're not yet ready to do their part, so we just can't add any more, right? And so I guess one of the related questions is, right now, there's not a whole lot of stormwater runoff, so it just kind of soaks into the ground. But we're building the curbs and the gutters to kind of channel that, which, not that I'm an engineer, but couldn't that theoretically then increase the flow of water going down to the county road?
Yeah, right now the water flows along that edge between the yard and the street, and so it's eroding that edge. And
And when it's eroding, it's soaking into the ground too, to some degree.
Very minor extent. I would argue that during large storms, and the water or the ground is saturated, the water is it's flowing down that
Okay.
path.
All right.
And so, yeah, I mean, the amount of water is really not changing. It's containing the water in that.
So if we're helping the county, they should be cost sharing with us right now.
And, that's part of the Ring Garden program.
Correct,
Yes.
I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if we are gonna be doing, another option could be that we add infrastructure in the county in the county road right away. And we're somehow tying it to the lake. We didn't put costs in the feasibility report for that, but if we are going to do that, then they could perhaps cost share and help pay for that portion of it.
Good idea.
Well, but then we're also working on their road right away, and where we shouldn't be anyway, they should be picking up the whole thing.
And in talking with the county representative, she's uncertain what their roadway is going to become, and so we may be putting in infrastructure in their county system that may have to change or.
Right.
All right. And then you had mentioned that there's the potential that there'd have to be some construction work, well, there'd be construction work, excavation work to bring up the base, to put down new base. It sounds like a lot of stuff. I mean, there's going to be a lot of challenges, I suppose, during this construction process of residents being able to get to their houses and back.
Yeah, the good thing about this neighborhood is there's only one cul-de-sac, that area, that's Ralph Street. So when they're doing a section of road, they might tackle 200 feet in one stretch and then put it back. And so when they're going across your frontage, you're right, you have, for that day, limited access to your home. You know, you might have to park down the street for that day. At the end of the day, they put it back and you're in at the end of the night. But if you aren't, it's not your frontage, you have another option. You can go the other direction to get out of the neighborhood, other than Ralph Street.
And just to clear my memory up a little bit, this is the area of the township where we had done our sewer work prior. So there, if the question gets asked, what about the sewers? We've done that. That part's all done with our lining.
And you can see in the funding, we only have $10,000 in sanitary funds with this project, because all that work was done. We are looking at just adjustments to the castings on the surface, that when we change our road profiles, we might have to raise or lower those castings. So that's what those costs are for. So it's a very small cost to the sanitary fund.
But the huge part of this whole program is because of drainage, which is tearing up the roads now. So, it's just something we've been, like you say,
Age, condition of streets,
we've
and
been
then-
kicking it down the road for so long.
Yes, we
This
cannot-
has to be fixed. I mean, people get used to driving on bad roads, but they don't realize how bad they are until they get a new road. All right, any other questions? Comments? All right, looks like we have 3 different motions here.
All right. Based on the town engineer review and recommendation, I vote to, or motion to adopt the resolution receiving the report on the street improvements for 2020-1.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? And the second one is the call for the hearing.
Based on town engineer review and recommendation, adopt a resolution calling for a hearing on the improvements of 2020-1 for December 16th, 2019.
I'll second that.
Motion's made second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then the third,
I'll move to adopt the resolution ordering the preparation of plans and specifications in an amount not to exceed $195,000 with funding from the Capital Improvement Fund for TKDA.
I'll second that.
motion's made second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right, that motion carries. Now we're officially broke.
Yeah.
We
All right.
passed that a long time ago.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Runneth over.
Moving on, item 8E, the municipal service contract.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if it pleases the board, I'd like for us to reconsider discussing this topic this evening, and rather I'd like to present the changes in the proposed contract from the city of Jim Lake as a memo addressing directly to the city council of Jim Lake.
All right, so you just want a motion to table?
I think it's probably a good idea.
Well, I think so too, otherwise we could be going back and forth 3 more times.
Yeah, and I think just approaching them in that manner, or rather than, as you say, going back and forth, I think is a little healthier way to do this, if it pleases the board.
All right, anybody have a problem with that one?
Nope. I'll move to table the item 8E, municipal service contract for now, with a date to be determined.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye.
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 I'll put
All
a
right.
memo out with it tomorrow.
All right, item 8F, we have a probationary period for Nancy Renard, our accounting clerk, administrative secretary.
Yeah, this one decided not to leave us after a month. Nancy is obtained all of her objectives and requirements under her probationary period, and we would like to extend to her full-time employee status with the township.
And we need a formal motion to do that?
Yes, we do. We are, the board is, and this is gonna sound a little strange to you, but you've been performing this function anyway.
No,
You
it works
are-
both ways, buddy.
Yeah, I know. You are the hiring and firing authority. You can make recommendations to maintain an employee's status with the township or terminate. It is your final call.
All right, hearing that, do I have a motion?
Comment first. For the future, just hear me a minute. If we're recommending employees to come off of probationary period, I would like to see a memo as to who, from in this case, the finance officer, saying that that's what they want, because I have no documentation that that's it, but I am comfortable
Okay.
with Nancy. So based on the finance officer review and recommendation, I'll approve Nancy Renard to regular full-time accounting clerk / administrative secretary.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nancy, you're still on the job.
Thank goodness.
All right, item HE, the electrical inspector services RFP, which is a request for proposal.
Yes, so at our last executive board committee meeting, 2 weeks ago, we did decide that it was appropriate after having a relationship with an electrical inspector for near 40 years, that we should probably freshen things up a little bit. We thought that it was appropriate to do an RFP specific to the position. So we would like approval on how we have it worded. And we'd like to go from there and get it out and start soliciting
Picked up what I did too.
applicants.
Oh,
I have a question.
Okay?
We both got the same thing highlighted.
On the first page of the RFP, under proposal deadlines,
Yes.
the township will receive sealed bids for landscaping design, which I don't
I didn't know our
think-
engineer or our electrical inspector did that.
That was a miss of copy and paste, I believe.
Well, thank
We-
goodness.
We will make that change, yes. My apologies.
So that whole paragraph's going away?
Hope it says, I don't
That whole section?
yeah.
Well, no, Mr. Chair, you want to keep the deadline section.
Yeah.
Well, but is that
Simply-
deadline valid then? That You got November
22nd?
22nd.
Yes,
So you expect to have the RFP out and responses by then?
we already have 3 or 4 that
Oh,
are
okay. Well, it works
interested.
because I think Jim's done, well,
end of-
he gave it to the first of the year. but-
Yeah, end of December, we'd like to get this going as quickly as possible. But yes, I will strike that. Scott, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I have one other question. Right above that, the electrical inspector's errors and omission and general liability insurance policies of $1 million each negligent act, blah, 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 blah. I think, is that to have a hold harmless piece on there so that, or a certificate holder, so that we make sure that it's still in place?
Yes.
So I think that needs to be added in there, that Waper Township should be added as a certificate holder, or however you want to say it. What's the
Okay.
right word, Chad?
Additional named insured?
Additional named insured.
Okay.
That way he can't drop it without us knowing it,
Okay.
he or she.
Boy, you guys are good tonight. Thank you. Okay.
All right, anything else on it?
Nope.
I guess I would just like to say one thing. I'd like to thank, I know Jim Manifeld personally, but he's been around forever. It's like almost, it's another part of our township that's like going away. But no, he's been an absolute great inspector to work with. I know a bunch of electricians that have worked with him, so thanks, Jim, if you're listening. All right, so I need a motion to accept this request for RFP.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the proposal for electrical inspection services with the notations that we just discussed at this
The
meeting.
edits.
The edits,
Yes.
excuse me.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Let's see, we got the last item, 8H, is a water gremlin update.
Yes.
Accept the- whoa, 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 whoa.
Mr. Chair, I would
Wait,
submit.
What-
Did you accept don't we have to accept the resignation of the person that he just mentioned?
You did that on the consent agenda.
Oh, we did that.
It's on
Never
consent.
mind.
Yep.
Forget it.
It's
My
okay.
brain went to sleep for a second.
Oh, never mind.
Mr. Chair, I added this to our agenda this evening based upon recent events going on around the township and a number of phone calls and email inquiries that we have received over the last week, week and a half. Residents are concerned with goings-on both at Water Gremlin and its recent shutdown based upon lead levels with the children of employees, and then also White Bear Lake City had an issue with elevated lead levels in their city water that was sent out to residents around about the same time that the Water Gremlin issue hit as well. And most of the questions that we received, it's been close to 24 now, are specifically concerned with the condition of of township water as it relates to lead levels. Put this together this afternoon. I ran it by Chad, inserted one of his edits here. I'll read it to you, and you can tell me if you like it or if I should go pound sand and start all over again.
Patrick, is this different from what we have in our agenda packet for the supplements that were added?
Yeah, this is an edited one from Chad.
Okay.
Yep. So I said, the White Bear Township Board realizes the concern you may have felt the past 10 days regarding two significant health-related issues that have occurred in our area, both having to do with elevated levels of lead. We are reaching out to you all today to assure you that the township to date has experienced no related issues within our existent water sewer infrastructure and testing guidelines. As recently as our testing period that ended on 9/30/2019, the township has met the standards set forth by the Minnesota Department of Health and has not required any action in any of our water sources. All reports on our water quality are issued to township residents on an annual basis through our Consumer Confidence Report and are available online at our township website here. We've got a link to those reports. And our most recent water testing results for lead copper conducted this year is available there as well, and that links back to that. We understand your anxiety through a very difficult time, but rest assured that the township has taken all steps to maintain the highest quality of living our residents have come to expect.
But now, this is something you want to release to White Bear Press?
We would send it to press, we put it on our website, we've got a Facebook and neighborhood page that we would put them out to.
But in the press, if you put here, they're not going to be able to link to it. You're going to have to spell out the,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I got that, yep.
I have one question. I'm not the person really high in grammar, but the word health doesn't need to be capitalized, I don't think. Does it?
For
That's not-
Minnesota Department of Health?
No, the two significant health-related
Oh,
issues.
yep, that does not.
And you can put your home phone number on here so they can contact you? No,
You're a funny guy.
Okay. I thought I'd ask.
So I'm wondering about, this is what you just said that would go out on our Facebook page and as a release, a press release. I noticed in the White Bear Press the other day that the city had actually taken out almost a half-page advertisement
saw
to really emphasize that. Is this going to get kind of lost in the background?
If they run it again, probably. I'd like to find a different, or the week after. But yeah, I mean, if it's adjacent to that, no one's gonna see it.
Would this be in our news and views, or is this a separate?
Well, in a perfect world, it would cover a couple of components to the paper. Yes, news and views, and then the other one is, I would hope that White Bear Press, in response to this press release, would call me for some follow-up, and we could have a discussion that they could perhaps do an article on it.
Okay.
Well, this is Monday. Would this even make this week's paper then? Are there deadlines?
I think Wednesday is a deadline, so,
Well, no, the paper comes out Wednesday.
for the following week, though.
So, yeah, it's not going to be in this week's.
So
Not gonna
week-
be in this week,
Gotcha.
no.
After the election, the primary, because
Yeah.
voting is tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, I think it's appropriate to get this out. And I just was looking for input as to whether or not we've worded it right. Whatever changes that you might have, I'm amenable to make in here, so. I do think we do owe our residents this.
As, I'll just ask this, if I'm a concerned citizen that has a house, relating to the White Bear City article, it talked about lead pipes in 1940 construction. Is there a point in our release, that if they have a concern on their own property, as far as older piping, where, as a link, they can go get a resource to come and have that checked?
I do have a resource that I have referenced to half a dozen folks who requested it. I'd be more than happy to add that in
If we're
here.
going through this effort, as a concerned citizen, and many of our properties are older, they may want to feel safe on their own property, and we should, if we have it all, we should give it to them, where they
Sure.
can go get their own property at their expense reviewed. Is that,
Yeah, I can add that.
do you guys agree with that or not?
In this statement, you're
Yeah.
emphasizing the
Add it
fact
here
that our
someplace.
water supply has been tested and we're meeting all standards or above. I know again, when I looked at the half-page article in the White Bear Press the other day, there was a clear distinction that what's going on with water gremlin has no impact whatsoever on our water sources. And I think that's implied here. Do we want to flat out state
Spell it
that?
out more? I can give it a shot.
Would that address some of the concerns from the residents who have called you already?
Yes, there is some confusion about that.
Okay.
The folks that I have spoken to have referenced water gremlin.
I would just wonder if you should put that in here as well, to say there is absolutely no connection.
That's not a bad idea. Chad, when I
To our knowledge.
add these couple of edits, am I safe within the guidelines of avoiding a serial meeting by getting approval on this from the guys before I publish it?
That's problematical. I think you have enough direction based on tonight. I don't think you need to. I would recommend you don't send it
Okay.
out again.
Okay, but I'll add the couple points that you got here. Just have faith in your employee that he'll do it.
We were just talking about the probationary period. Oh, that's right. we missed that. Yes, we have.
That's
faith.
passed.
Okay, I can do that. Anything else?
Otherwise, Chad, you're okay with the way it's worded? You know?
I am. I mean, it's really informational purposes, and I understand why you're sending it out.
Well, there's just so many rumors floating around that we
Yep.
got to get
Well,
on the record and try to set some of it straight.
oh, sure. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I wasn't aware of the White Bear Lake ad, so that adding the
More confusion.
residential piping, your own home makes a lot of sense. Because obviously we don't have any idea what the water in the house is.
No.
No, and it goes with people that have their own wells that maybe, that we don't know about, their own old pipes. If we can just give them some direction that they can self-check.
Right.
their own, that would-
We test this quarterly. I'm sorry, my bad. Every 3 years, and it goes back now to 1999, where the reports clearly state that we are well within the guidelines
Or-
of what the Minnesota Department of Health has.
Or our municipal water.
Yes,
Yes.
so.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
No.
For Patrick?
No.
All right, moving on. Item number 9. No, we don't have any added agenda items. Number 10, open time. Looks like we got a packed house, so that pretty much clears that.
I have one thing to add before we shut down.
Okay, open, you got to go over to the mic, introduce yourself.
I can sit right here and introduce myself. I just want to remind voters that tomorrow is Election Day, and they can vote at the various precincts within the township. There are 4.
Has the new voting for the theater, is that now the official voting spot? Well, it moved from.
Oh, it went back, that's a good question. Precinct 4. It was at Eagle Brook, moved to the Hannafel Center, but
I thought it moved to the new theater on the
That's-
Furnace Road.
that's the Hannafel Center.
Okay.
But I think that was just temporary. I think it's back to, I'm not sure, actually, where that one is. I know.
I'm sure it's on our
precinct
website.
one. It's on our, well, it's on Ramsey County's website. That's a good question, but I don't have the answer for that.
All right, just be advised, find out for sure where your voting
That's correct.
is, so. All right, anything else, Steve?
Nope.
Scott?
Nope.
All right, item number 11, I need a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved?
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned at, I want to say 8:17, because the clock is like an hour off.
9:17.
9:17? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.